So, hi everyone. My name is Testimony Adebi, and I'm the programs manager at Tech Semester. This conversation is going to be about getting started in tech majorly. But if you think that backend development might be something you want to do, then this is for you. Today I have with me Samuel, who is a full stack developer, and you'll be taking us through what a day looks like also in the life of a backend developer. So thank you, Samuel, once again. Thank you very much for joining this call. So my first question will be something very light and simple. How's your journey been so far in back end? I know you're full stack, so you've done like both. Did you start with front end or you started with back end, then just decided to do?
So basically, I started as a backend developer, right? So most full stack developers I know somehow started more of as a backend developer. They now learned front end a little bit to make it full stack. So as a backend developer, and the first language stack I learned was PHP and Laravel. Then before, and I migrated to Express.js and Node.js, basically. Yeah, so that's how I started, and that's been amazing.
Wow, nice. How many years did you learn all of this?
Uh, Altogether, right now, I have about 8 years of experience that I've been working with all of these things
Wow.
altogether, 7, 8 years put together. And and the journey to become a full stack developer for me took me about 3 years, right? Because I didn't learn everything like at once, right? It was just like bit by bit then. But within 3 years, I was there. I spent like the first year more on PHP, right?
Okay.
I had like a very solid PHP background. PHP, I wrote like a lot of vanilla PHP, learned Slim 3 framework with PHP, did Symfony with PHP, did Cake PHP as well. Then before Laravel framework, I started training with PHP, did Laravel framework with PHP as well. So when I pivoted to Node.js. So the first framework I learned wasn't even Express, right? Was Adonis JS. So Adonis is not really popular, but it's very, very nice because it has this similar structure with Laravel. So if you have like a Laravel
Oh,
background, the way um, the code base is being arranged mostly using MVC framework, right? Model View Controller framework. So Adonis also is just like that so as well. So it was easy for me to just like move from Laravel to
okay.
Adonis framework. Then because of what the industry demands and there are more opportunities for Express developers too as well. So I also
Yeah.
added Express to it. But everything in general took me about 3 years.
Wow. Wow. That sounds like a whole lot. I would like to ask, like, what was the motivation for you to like just because backend is not something somebody just wakes up down like that is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Uh, so how did you like get into it?
So for me, basically, I didn't start as the motivation for me was I just want to do something, right? So I learned how to code. I saw one school like that I used to stay that they were teaching Java for Android, for
Mm,
BlackBerry, sorry, Java for BlackBerry, using Java to
okay.
build BlackBerry applications. And then, so I enrolled for
Wow.
the training, and the training that was where I learned my first piece of code. I learned HTML a little bit there, CSS a little bit there too as well, and Java
Mm,
programming language. So Java programming language was the first programming language I learned. So that, after going through that particular training, so I started building websites, like little website using content management systems like WordPress and so on and so forth. Then I realized that okay, I
mm,
can actually come up with my own idea and build like custom tailored idea while coding these things from scratch. So while I was doing that, I realized that okay, I needed to like link it to a back end to the database. So I needed that skill. So just realizing that okay, I will need someone else. So why won't I learn it? So I just felt like okay, I have time with me as a then,
mm.
and I just learned it on the go, and it became something. So it wasn't really fully intentional. Like, okay, look, I want to become a
Like,
full stack developer. Yeah. So I just got
mm,
to that particular bridge and realized that okay, you need
I needed
this
to
skill
have
to
this
achieve,
skill.
yeah, what your mind wanted to achieve. Then you just had to like learn that particular skill. Yeah.
Wow. Many people you had a problem like you wanted to solve and you were interested in solving that problem. And even if it meant that you had to learn something else. Some people can just I've met people like that, like, oh, this is the stack I'm on, this is where I want, like, this is where I'm going to die. Like, let's just do this. But the fact that you problem you wanted to solve was a motivating factor for you to keep learning and learning. And I'm sure the summer of that time is it's not the same of this time. You are, I know from interaction, someone that keeps on learning and equipping yourself to solving problems. I think that's very, very amazing. So the next question I have for you would be, run me through your day as a back end developer. What does it look like? What are the things you enjoy doing and you don't too?
Okay, what I enjoy doing as a backend developer. Now, the let me start with what is not like really really pretty about backend developer compared to other areas in development is the fact that you don't have a pretty thing to show. So you don't have a pretty thing to really really
To
show
show
on, on
people.
social media. For example, now if you're a designer, I can easily just design one or two things and just post it on Twitter
I
and
just
say,
posted,
yeah, I'm designing this.
I
If it is
designed
front
it
end, you can easily just like develop
to,
or just build one web page, right? Just use HTML,
mm,
CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript to just set up a landing page and host it on any of the free hosting platforms and just share it on LinkedIn or something just to do that. But for back end, right, it is difficult to convey that information to non-technical personalities, right? But for front
yeah.
end, you can easily communicate it. They can see what you're doing. They can interface with it. If it's
Mhm.
product design or UI design, they can actually see what you're doing. They can understand it. They can interface with it. But for back end, they
Yeah.
cannot understand it. They cannot really really interface with it if they are non-technical people. So you always need
Yeah.
technical people to explain, to appreciate what you're doing, right? So you just say, well, I'm a
It's
backend
not
developer.
very
What do you
pretty.
do? Yeah, I do stuff. I try to connect the front end application to the database, right? It sound easy. You
Abstract.
can relate to it if you're a technical person. But if you're not a technical person, you cannot really really relate to it at ease like that. So you have little or nothing to really really brag about on
So,
social media, put out there on stuffs like that, right? So that's just it.
mm,
Now the
okay.
good thing about back end again is I think it gives you this ability to really understand structure, right? So you get to understand structure because you work with database schemas all the times, database, you understand all the sources of all of this information, and it's really really nice, right? And for example,
Mm-hmm.
now if I'm working on any projects like the one I'm currently working on, right? So the first thing is basically creating endpoints. So um, the day-to-day activities or core tasks of the back-end developer at the end of the day is creating API endpoints, right? So the question is, if I'm working on a project, I have a sprint that I'm working on this particular week or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, depending on how the project is being managed, right, or run. So if I have a sprint and in that sprint for the week, right, I need to come up with two endpoints for that particular project. So everything boils down to achieving that particular endpoint and also coming up with
Okay.
algorithms for the endpoint. If it is a serious endpoint, I need an algorithm per se, right? Like let's say you're fetching data, you're trying to list up like series of posts or something of that nature.
Mm.
Thereabout. So you need like algorithms, you need to like come up with algorithms, think about that and so on and so forth. So basically, that's just like how the day-to-day activities looks like. Majorly endpoints.
Wow. Does not really sound like fun coming from we that we are the other non-technical part of tech. But
Yeah.
I think you guys are doing, and just for like context for whoever is watching it, backend is more like someone goes to a restaurant, right, and asks for food, right, and the waiter or waitress comes and makes he or she makes the order. The people in the kitchen, they don't come outside to interact with um whoever makes an order, but they are the one who do like the dirty work, who gets their hands like really busy, and the waitress comes out with something really beautiful. So those people in the kitchen are who we can use to describe the back end. They are, like you said, structures. Like they are the ones that build the structures that the product design rests on. The whole idea, they bring it to life, right? So to the juicy part that many people are looking forward to. what is the salary expectation for a backend developer now across different skill sets for like a beginner, a senior engineer, and organizations to maybe a local or remote role, foreign role? What are the salary expectations?
Yeah, so I think I even had idea of making a Twitter thread about this particular question, right? A few
Okay,
weeks ago, but I've not made that particular thread. One of these days, I'll just take my time and
okay,
make it because a lot of fools are just
that's
starting. They
cool.
always ask me this particular question, and that particular question is how much can I earn? How much will they pay me when I'm done learning this stuff? How much will it be, right? So it's
Yeah.
based on several factors, right? Now, for
Okay.
me to answer that particular question, I will start with it's the first factor is where are you working? Where do you plan to work? The company. Is the company a fresh? We have startup, we have fresh startup. You understand? There is startup, there is fresh startup. So even in the startup
Mm-hmm.
world, we have the fresh startup, we have the startup that have
Yes.
raised fund, we have the startup that have not raised fund. So we have fresh
Fun.
startup, we have startup that have not raised fund, but they are bootstrapped to a reasonable traction in the market,
Mm.
right? They are bootstrapped to reasonable traction in the market. Then we have startup that have actually raised fund. We have startup also
Mm.
that also raised their first series and probably even their second series, right? So these firms, the amount they pay their staffs varies based on some of these factors, some of these stages, right? So if you're working
Yeah.
for a fresh startup out of the box. They're just trying to build their first MVP.
Do
They're not even
something.
done that yet, right? And it's a local firm. Now, it's a Nigerian firm, right? I'm a beginner
Mm.
dev. They hardly employ beginners because beginner cannot really help them that much at that particular stage in their business because they don't have, even if they have money, business wise, they don't want to spend a lot of money at a time. So they want to like probably contract or employ 2 or 3 devs
Someone that can do the
most of the time,
job.
depending on the budget they are working on. Remember, these guys they are fresh, they have not bootstrapped yet, so they have limited budgets, right? And they look
Yeah.
for every opportunity possible not to spend money, right? Because when the product is ready, they will still market it, right? And marketing also costs money. But then the product does not
Yeah.
bring in money, right?
Yeah.
Creating
Marketing
awareness for the
does.
product,
Mm-hmm.
meeting people that will try to spread the word out there, push the word out there for that particular product, that solution that you believe your product is solving, right? Also cost money. So you're trying to
Yeah.
save money for that particular activity too. So what I would say is if you're a junior dev and you're working for a local firm, right? I think the average payment is around 150,000 naira in Nigeria, in this Lagos, to be precise,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I've seen, right?
All right.
150,000
Okay.
naira actually. Then
Okay.
you could also verify it using what's the name of this website that is to give all these
Indeed.
averages. No, not indeed, not indeed. The other one. It's also popular. It just keep my mind right now. So 150,000 naira for that. If a
Yeah.
mid-level dev,
Okay.
a mid-level dev for a local firm in Nigeria here, you should be expected to be paid around 200 to 250, 200 to 250
Okay.
average, on the average, right? On the average.
Okay.
And this does not mean that it might go higher, it might go lower. All of these things depend on what stage that
Extreme.
particular business is right now at
Is
that particular point in time. So it will determine how much they can also pay you because they cannot pay you more than
pay
what they can
you.
afford, right?
Yeah.
So
That
that's
would
just it.
be.
So the average for
Mm.
junior beginner 150 in Nigeria that I've seen. The average for mid-level that I've seen is 200 to 250 thereabout. Therefore, senior you get 300 way down to 600, way down to
Mm.
600,000 per month. Now it depends on also what you're bringing to the table. It depends on your bargaining power as well. Your bargaining power, how you can negotiate your salary, what you're bringing to the table, and so on and so forth will depend that, right? So, but of course, I've seen in Nigerian firm paying a senior dev 1 point something, right? 1 million
Mm.
per month, 1.2, 1.5 per month, right? And mind you,
Mm.
this depends again. So you want to, even when you're negotiating, I always tell people know the company that you are applying for and know the company that you're
Mm.
interviewing with. That will tell you how much you can also negotiate. If you're negotiating with a fresh startup, you should not be expecting them to pay you up to £1 million naira,
Yeah.
even if you're a senior dev. So your negotiation strategy will change to probably, okay, give me a certain amount of money and give me so percentage in equity. At that particular point in time,
Yeah.
they can give you equity, they can give you stake, and so on and so forth, right? Especially
Mm.
if you really know your onion. So you can actually negotiate
Yeah.
towards the equity area, right? But if it's something that have raised fund, right, they can also pay a little bit higher. And if something that have not also raised, they are still bootstrapping. Even if they have been in the business for 3-5 years, it could be they're still trying to find a good market fit. Finding a market
Yeah.
fit in any startup is not. It could take you 6 months. It could take you 3 months. It could take you 2 years. It could take you 3 years. So it depends, right? So it depends on the dynamics
Yeah.
of this things. So for a senior level dev, 600. Some of the big firms that you know, or even some of our homemade, the normal tech firms that you guys want to work for in Nigeria, blah, blah, they
Popular.
pay around
Yeah.
500, or plus they pay around 500, 600 for a senior level dev too, as well. So you also want to like look at those things as well when trying to negotiate or trying to apply for a job and you're thinking of how much they'll pay you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for that analysis. Now, I would say it's entering my eye, but I don't want to see shege. All right. So if let's say for instance I want to get started in back end development,
Yeah.
what should I put into consideration when choosing stacks, to learn,
What
or
to learn?
what should I put into consideration?
You put two things, right? I'll give you two things, then
Okay.
whoever is listening can actually make decision from it. The first thing
Okay.
is your destination. Where are you going to?
Mm.
Where would you love to work? Are you learning? Are you transitioning to this so you can secure a foreign remote job so you can earn in foreign currency by Nigeria? Yeah. Would you love to work for a Nigerian firm? Right. So these two things. So now if you're working for a Nigerian firm, for back end to be precise, one of the most sought after back end stack in Nigeria here is PHP Laravel. The fact is, in
Mm.
Nigeria backend developers, we have in the market, we have more people that have backend developers in Nigeria here. So it's just about like 2-3 years ago that this Express or main stack thing, technology stack, start actually trending, and most new applications are built with them in mind. But previous applications have been built before this particular trend. Most of them were built with PHP/Laravel, right? So it means that most firms are actually looking for, in Nigeria, yeah, mostly looking for PHP Laravel. So
Mm.
if you do a simple Google search and you're looking for a job, a backend job, you see most of them will be PHP Laravel, right, in Nigeria. Yeah. So if you're looking to work in Nigeria, and you should highly consider learning PHP Laravel, right? Because it will help you understand my SQL too, right? MySQL. So it helps you understand that as well, which will help you in your job hunting as well. Then, but if at the end of the day you want to learn these skills, so you relocate, you leave the shores of Nigeria or something, you want to secure a foreign remote job and you want better opportunities, you want to have like a lot of opportunities to choose from, and you also want to follow the trend in terms of technology. All of these things is trend. Sometimes it does not necessarily mean that this particular technology is better than that particular technology. But it just happened, and that's just the industry trend for now, right? And there's a saying that the trend is your friend. So that you want to learn where the industry is going towards, not where the industry is coming out from. Right? This is my personal opinion. I believe that from the back end side of you, I think that the industry is coming out from PHP Laravel and is moving towards main stack, MongoDB Express, right? MongoDB Express, not even SQL Express. So if you want to learn for the future, you want to learn so that when you leave the shores of Nigeria or something, you want to secure a foreign remote job, I will highly recommend that you learn MongoDB Express JS, right? But nonetheless, whatever stack that you choose, it is actually very easy to switch from a certain stack to another stack. The reason is the fact that once you know how to program, to move from one programming language to another programming language is not hard because you already have the programming logic. You already have that programming solving problem solving skills. It's just for you to learn the syntax, right? So once you just have that logic, for you to like pivot from one programming language to another programming language, from one stack to another stack, will not be a very difficult task to do. To be a no-brainer actually, right? But my recommendation will be MongoDB and Express.js. That's why the fact that I painted the two picture.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you very much for that very elaborate explanation. I think many people don't understand that majorly, yes, tech is the new oil, but if you really want to, go it secure the big bag, you have to be strategic about it. Type of companies you go to work for determine whether you're working for a Nigerian company or a foreign company. You have to put all of those things inside. All right.
Yeah.
So I think one question that many people don't ask or don't really know how to ask is who should not be a backend developer?
Who should not be a backend developer?
Yes.
I think if you like to show off, right? If you like to show off, I don't think you should be a backend developer because you will have little thing to show off with. Now take a look at it. There is this tech Twitter thing where you go on Twitter, tech Twitter is trending, and you will hardly see backend developer sharing their work, right?
Yeah.
You always see product designer because they have stuff to show off with. You will always see front end developers too because they also have stuff to show off with.
Sure.
But as a back end developer, if you love all those paparazzi, which I don't think is needful, at some point, but at some point it's also needful because it helps you to push yourself out there too as well. So, but if you really love to show off, you should not be a back end developer. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, if you find it difficult to assimilate logic, in maths, then we have this stuff called logic reasoning, right?
Yeah.
There is the logic reasoning. So if coming up with logic is a little bit difficult for you as a person, you have that particular personality, you have issues with coming up with logic and stuffs like that, right? I don't think you should also be a backend developer, right? If by nature you are not a structured person by nature, right? By nature, you're a structured person, you scattered stuff around, just put stuff anyhow. I think you should also not be a backend developer. If you overlook security issues as well, you overlook security issues by nature, you can just let go of some certain stuff, ignore some things that might be necessary, but you just want to do away with it because you think it might not be necessary. You should also not be a backend developer because when it comes to backend, security is like our utmost priority because you are the one that is dealing with the database, right? So if a hacker is hacking anything, when you hear a hacker hack stuff, they do not hack the front end. What they hack is the back end. So there is nothing to be hacked in the front end because the front end is already there. Anybody can view your front end source code on their browser. If it's a website, just on your browser, you can view the source code of that particular front end, right? So where hacker hack is not the front end. Hackers don't hack front end. Hackers don't hack designs. Hackers don't hack user experience. Hackers don't hack stuff. Hackers hack back end because that is the database. Once they gain access to the database, they can do stuff with user data, right? If it is fintech, now you want to be thinking, how do I save people's credit card details so that a hacker cannot come in there and pick those details and use it for something else, and the company will be to be blamed, right, for that particular attack, right? So security issues is your utmost priority. So if you're somebody that does not understand security issues, or you don't feel like you want to spend time to understand security issues when it comes to all of these stuff, you also don't want to be a back-end developer. And if you love to write a piece of code and want to see what you're doing almost immediately, you should also not be a back-end developer as well, because it's front-end developers that will write 2 lines of code and they can go on the browser and they'll see what you're doing. In back-end development, you can write like 20 lines of code and you are still yet to see what you're doing. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, or see probably the endpoint is finally ready, right? So you build the entire logic. So this thing I'm calling logic, that is the same thing that it's similar to what they call algorithms too, because algorithm is just like in my own explanation, I would say algorithm is like set of logic, right? Let this happen before that, before this, blah, blah, to solve an actual problem, right? So at the end of the day, so
Yeah.
if you don't know how to come up with logic, you're not a structured person, and you love to show
That's
off,
true.
and
Definitely.
you don't want to think of security first, you should not be a backend developer. You shouldn't be. Actually, you
Amazing,
shouldn't be.
amazing, amazing answer. Thank you so much. So, because of time, in the next 2 or 3 minutes, for someone who wants to get started, okay, I've finally made up my mind. It's backend I want to do. How can I get started, and how long will it take me to attain employability?
Okay. Let's before employability, let's talk about getting started. So to get started, I get this question a lot of the time. To get started, you have three options. The three
Okay.
options is under two categories. Those two
Okay.
categories, those two category is free and paid. So
Mm.
down. So I said three options, two categories, right? Free and
Yeah.
paid. That's the category. The free category, the paid category. So if you want to get started, of course, is to learn, right? That's how you get started. Basically, just learning. Now, how do I learn? Is either you learn for free or you learn by paying for it. Now, if you want to learn for free, now the option of that learning for free, number one, YouTube is your closest friend to learn for free. Just go on YouTube right now and Google
Mm.
PHP Crash Course 2022. You're going to see something. You Google,
Mm.
I say Google, YouTube, you still search. Well, you still Google anyway because
Yeah.
Google owns
Go on
YouTube.
YouTube.
So yeah, so you search stuff on YouTube like Express.js Crash Course or Node.js plus Express.js Crash Course. You're definitely going to see something, right? That's going to be valuable,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you
Yeah.
can just basically start learning. Once you start learning, someone sent me a message and said, Mr. Sam, how can I get into tech? I wanted to get into tech. I said, pick something and learn. Once you just start learning, you're already into tech. That's just
Mm-hmm.
the easiest way to start, right? Once you start
Start
learning, the day
learning.
you start learning, that's the day your tech journey have started, right? So
Mm-hmm.
use YouTube to learn for free or just wait around and try to see if there is any NGO that is sponsoring anyone free training, there's any free bootcamp somewhere that one organization is doing. And this does not come back to back, they come sometimes like that, once in a while.
Mm.
And in some other sites like EDX, right? EDX is a learning platform too as well.
Yeah.
You should be able to see some free learning materials there too as well. So
Okay.
even sometimes Google liars with Audacity to come up with free courses and so on and so
Scholarships.
forth. That you can also scholarship and stuff like that you can learn for free. So if you're the
Yeah.
free bees or the free tech kind of person, those are the
That's
ways you can
right.
learn with, for free. And the only thing that it will cost you is the money for your internet connection, for your data fees,
Yeah.
right? Then
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
second category will be paying for it.
Paid.
Now, no, remember I said two categories, three options. So one option is
Yeah.
for free. The second category has two options to make it to complete the three options. So the second category is paid, right? Which I also
Yeah.
recommend because sometimes the free option does not give you a well-structured course, and that is why I always don't recommend it. There is every possibility that you might watch a YouTube video and the YouTuber will just start a course and not end it. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I will not conclude it, they'll just stop halfway. And they can refer you to their description. Check the description of this particular video. There's a link there to get the paid course, get the paid program, or they'll just give you a snippet. Most videos, even if
Yeah.
it's 1 hour plus video, 2 hours plus video on YouTube, if it's an in-depth course, they give you a snippet of the course to get you interested. That if it's something that you really want to do, you want to go and pay that
Pay for it.
$15, you want to pay that $25 for that particular
Yeah.
main course, right? So because of that, free courses on YouTube are not well structured. Why? Because
Mm.
the creators themselves, they intentionally don't want you to get everything. They don't go in depth. They only cover the peripheral. One, they are looking at time. If it is a 30-minute video, the creator don't want it to be so long so that people will be bored. That's number one. They're looking
Yeah.
at time. They're looking at so many other factors. They know that you are not paying for it. They know that they also want to monetize a YouTube channel. They know that one of the ways to monetize their YouTube channel is to give you snippets so you can be interested to get a paid course, right? So they know all of these things. They are not fools, right? They are also in the business of also making money at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? So because
Yeah.
of that, some of these free things, apart from probably the scholarship program that might be more structured, some of the scholarship programs are structured, right? You might not get a structured course for free. That is why I always recommend invest
Paid.
something. If something matter to you, invest something and learn from it.
In it.
Education is to be paid first, right? We used to have this stuff in our library then in primary school. It's if you think education is expensive, try ignorance.
Yeah,
Right?
ignorance.
It's a very popular saying. So basically, if it's something that this one like you really want to take, for example, if you want to pursue a degree in computer science, you're going to pay the tuition fee, right? So why is it that when it comes to this, you just only want to learn for free all the way through? Why can't you bring out a certain amount of money, $50, $100, $150, $1,500 to actually invest and pay for it? So when it comes to pay, you have two options. The first one, you want to use platforms like Udemy, Pluralsight, all those
Coursera
Coursera and all those learning platforms like that. And one of the good things about those platforms is that you get a more structured course and you get it a little bit cheaper. Like I know of Udemy a lot. So if you're taking a course on Udemy for the first time, buying a course for the first time, they give about 90-something%, and you can get a course for in Naira can be less than 5,000 Naira sometimes, right? If you get a particular discount period, it can be less than 5,000 Naira sometimes if you're just using for the first time and if you buy the course during the discount period. But even if not during the discount period, you can get it for in Naira, you can get it for about 20-something thousand to 30,000 Naira most times, right? So that's we're looking at about less than $5 to from $5 to about, let's say, $70-something most of the times, right? For me, I think it's really cheap to do that. It's really cheap to do that. Then the one I would recommend if you can afford it is to pay for a boot camp. So boot camp courses are way expensive than all of them, but you will get structure and you get support. Or platforms like Udemy, you might get structure, but you might not get support. And you might also get network as well. Maybe to build network, but a boot camp will be way expensive, but you get support, you get structure, and you also get network as well.
Wow, that was very elaborate again. I love how you are able to break things down, and I think everyone watching this will be able to bring out actionable plans from everything you've said. You want to get started, you don't know where to go, or you don't know which one to learn first, or you want to know, okay, at the end of the day, how much should I get? Because at the end of the day, we all need to make money. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Samuel, for those answers, for your time. And I'm sure if anyone has any questions, in case you want to connect with Samuel, you can follow him on Twitter or on LinkedIn too. I'm sure you'd be very excited to answer your questions and help you out. Right. Thank you so much once again.